We followed the lights into the woods. Big mistake. We should have known the moment we got there. We pulled into this little dirt patch off a narrow access road, somewhere on the western side of Olympic National Park. We weren't at a campsite, no bathrooms, no signs, nothing official. It was just this scraped out area under the trees with a fire pit someone had left behind, half filled with beer cans and scorched foil. But Mason found it on Reddit. Some thread about hidden car camping spots where rangers won't hassle you. That should have been the first red flag. There were 4 of us. Me, Mason, Kayla, and Jordan. We were in my Forester, packed so tight with gear that we could barely move without knocking over a bag of Doritos or stepping on someone's jet boil. Kayla kept laughing at how much food we brought, way more than we'd need for 2 nights. But the guys insisted. "You burn more calories when you're cold," Mason said. And it was cold, wet and bone-chilling, like the forest never quite dried out, even during the day. We got there late, maybe around 6:30 p.m. The sun was already low and filtering sideways through the trees, turning everything orange. I remember how quiet it was. Not peaceful quiet, but pressurized, like something was holding its breath. Mason made us laugh, saying, "Dude, this is like the kind of place where people go missing and no one gives a shit." None of us laughed that hard. We set up fast. 2 tents, me and Jordan in one, Mason and Kayla in the other. There was a narrow path behind our site that led deeper into the trees. It wasn't on any map we had, not even all trails, just a deer path probably. Kayla asked if we should block it somehow. Jordan tossed a log across it and said, "There, now the deer will have to pay a toll." We cooked hot dogs, drank cheap beer, tried to outdo each other with scary stories. Normal camp stuff. Mason went on about that story where someone finds a cabin deep in the woods with no roads leading to it. Kayla told one about a guy who finds a photo of himself sleeping, taken from outside his tent. But something started bothering me after it got dark. Every time I stepped away from the fire, like to grab something from the car or piss behind a tree, I swore I heard something. Not snapping branches or animals rustling, not that. It was footsteps, careful ones, like someone was trying to match the rhythm of my own. At first I figured it was just the beer or my imagination, but I wasn't the only one. Around 10 p.m, Kayla started getting weird. Not jumpy, just quiet. She kept looking over her shoulder like she was listening for something. Then she asked, totally out of the blue, "Did someone walk past earlier? I thought I saw, like, a flashlight." Nobody had seen anything. Jordan even stood up and scanned the woods with his headlamp. Nothing but steam rising from the ferns. He joked that Kayla was too high, but she wasn't. None of us were. That's when we saw it. A light. Small, dull, orange-yellow, like a lantern, moving between the trees maybe 40 or 50 yards away behind the tents. At first, we all just froze, trying to figure out what the hell it was. It was moving, not swinging like someone walking with it though, more like it was gliding, smooth, and too steady to be a flashlight. Jordan called out, "Hello?" The light went still. Then it blinked out, like someone had just pinched it between 2 fingers. We all just stood there for a second, waiting to hear something. Anything. But the woods were dead silent. No wind, no animals. It was like the entire forest had hit pause. I'll never forget the way Mason said, "That was probably just some other campers, right?" Like he was trying to convince himself. trying to make it not weird, but we knew nobody else had parked near us. We were a good 45 minutes from the last gas station, let alone a ranger station or a main trail. There was nobody else out here. Jordan wanted to go check it out. Said it could have been a hiker in trouble or someone who got lost. Kayla was dead against it. She was already packing her stuff into a duffel. She didn't say it, but she was scared. The kind of scared that makes you sick. I told Jordan I'd go with him, just a few yards in, just to be safe. We grabbed our headlamps and followed the trail behind our tents. We didn't find a person, but we did find something else. Footprints. In the moss, barely visible unless your light hit them just right. Long strides, deep, like boots, but not hiking boots. More like work boots. Way too clean to belong to someone who'd been trekking in the mud. There were two sets. One came toward our camp. The other was going back into the woods. Jordan stopped walking and whispered, "Dude, what if they were watching us this whole time?" I didn't say anything. I was trying not to freak out. My gut was churning. You know that feeling when your body knows something's wrong before your brain catches up? Like when a car almost hits you, and your heart's already pounding before you even process what happened. That. We followed the footprints maybe 30 feet in. Then they stopped. Just stopped. Right in the middle of a clearing. No more tracks forward, no more backward. Like the person had vanished, or never really was there. That's when we saw it. Pinned to a tree, using a fucking tent stake, was a Polaroid photo. It showed a tent. Our tent. From behind. Taken from the woods. There were no people in the picture. Just the tent, zipped up, lit from within like it had been taken while we were inside earlier, eating or changing or something. There was no note, no name, no date, just that. We turned around and ran. When we got back to camp, Kayla was in the car with the doors locked. She wouldn't even roll the window down until we said her name 3 times. Mason was standing by the fire pit, holding a hatchet, eyes wide, like he was waiting for someone to come out of the trees. We told them what we found, showed them the Polaroid. Nobody slept that night. We sat in a circle, all facing outward, backs to the fire. Every snapping twig made us flinch. I kept imagining someone just standing behind a tree, 30 feet away, smiling, waiting. Waiting for what? We never figured that out. But that wasn't the last time we saw the lights. We left before sunrise. Didn't even pack the tents, just grabbed the essentials, wallets, phones, keys, the cooler, and bailed. Kayla drove. Her hands were shaking so bad she kept veering into the soft shoulder of the access road. I watched the trees pass by in the headlights like they were closing in, leaning closer with every turn. None of us said much. Mason clutched the Polaroid like it meant something, like maybe if he stared hard enough it would make sense. Jordan kept looking out the back window, expecting to see someone following us, I think. I don't blame him. I kept feeling like there was someone, not a car, just someone on foot. Someone who didn't care how far out we were. Someone who'd been out here longer than us. By the time we hit paved road again, the sky was starting to go grey. None of us had slept. We pulled into a little turnout by a ranger information sign and just sat there, letting the engine idle, watching the woods. That's when Kayla said it. My boots are gone. We all looked at her. She was barefoot, socks dirty, clinging to her ankles like wet paper. She looked dazed. Mason turned around in his seat and asked, "What do you mean your boots are gone?" Like she was joking. Like this was still something we could laugh off. She shook her head. "They were in the tent, right next to me. I remember waking up for a second and thinking I heard someone breathing." That shut everyone up. Because now it wasn't just weird Polaroids and creepy lights in the trees. Someone had been in her tent while we were all sitting around the fire or gone checking the woods. Someone had gotten close enough to unzip her tent and steal her boots without her knowing. Jordan muttered, "That's not just someone messing around." Mason leaned forward and said what none of us wanted to admit. "That's someone planning something." We didn't call the cops. I know how stupid that sounds, but what would we even say? Someone took a picture of our tent and left it in the woods. My friend lost her boots and saw a lantern. It wouldn't go anywhere. And anyway, by then we were halfway to a gas station on the 101. Civilization felt like a warm bath we were easing into. The longer we drove, the more the fear slipped away, like waking up from a nightmare you can't quite remember. We made it to an Airbnb that Mason's cousin had rented a year back. Tiny cabin near Forks, crappy cell reception, but it had a locking door and indoor plumbing, so it felt like a mansion after that night. The plan was to stay there until we could figure out what the hell to do. The first thing we did was try to sleep. Didn't work. I laid on the pull-out couch, staring at the knotty pine ceiling, listening to every creak. My brain kept replaying that clearing in the woods, the prints that stopped, the photo, the way it was taken. That's what messed me up the most. Whoever took it had to wait until we were inside, watching for the exact right moment, standing there in the trees, camera raised, breathing, smiling. I kept imagining him. This guy, out there with us, quiet, waiting, close enough to touch our tents without being seen. And then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. That first night when we parked and got out, I'd gone to pee in the trees just for a second. And when I came back, the driver's side door was open. I thought maybe I hadn't shut it all the way. But what if he'd been there already? Later that day, Mason and Jordan decided to go back for the tents. Kayla lost her shit, screamed at them that they were idiots, but Mason kept saying we needed them, that we couldn't afford to just leave hundreds of dollars of gear behind. I was torn. I didn't want them going back, but part of me needed answers. I needed to believe there were some. So I gave Mason the GPS I'd used to mark the trailhead, told him to be quick. They left around 2 p.m. By 4:30 it was dark. By 5 o'clock they still weren't back. Kayla was pacing like a caged animal. She kept asking, why the fuck would they take this long? And all I could do was keep refreshing my phone, even though we barely had a bar of reception. At one point she said, what if this is what he wanted, to split us up? That hit like a slap, because we had split up. We left the car, the camp, our gear. We panicked, scattered, and now it was like we were getting picked off. At 5:27 my phone buzzed. Mason, no message, just a photo. It was blurry, tilted, shot in the dark with a flash that made everything look burned out and pale. The trees, the moss, and in the middle, a pile of our tents, slashed to ribbons, peeled apart like someone went at them with a box cutter, then left them stacked, folded, like a gift. But that's not what made me drop the phone. It was what was next to the tents. A boot. Kayla's boot. With a plastic baby doll jammed inside. Its arms were missing. They came back at 6:10, pale, shaking, completely silent. Mason had a scratch on his neck. A shallow one, but fresh. He wouldn't tell us what happened. Just said they grabbed what they could and got the hell out. Jordan wouldn't speak at all. He just went straight to the shower, turned on the water, and sat on the floor for 45 minutes, fully clothed. I looked through the stuff they brought back. Only one sleeping bag. A mess of crushed protein bars and torn clothes. No tents, just one scrap of nylon that had something carved into it with a knife. One word, stay. That night was worse than the one in the woods. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that doll. Its face was melted, like it had been held up to a fire. I kept hearing twigs snapping outside the cabin. I swear to God, I heard breathing at the window around 3 a.m. And when I finally did fall asleep, I woke up to find my boots, placed neatly by the front door. The laces were tied together. We didn't put them there. We left the cabin before the sun was up. Didn't even grab our shit. Mason grabbed his keys and the backpack with the food and the knife. And that was it. I didn't even put on socks, just shoved my feet into the boots that had been left by the door, tied together like some sick joke, and ran. Kayla was already in the car, hunched down in the passenger seat, arms wrapped around her knees. She hadn't spoken since last night, since the boots. Not just because they were there, but because of how they were placed. Like someone had come right up to the front porch. Quiet, confident, like they knew we wouldn't stop them. Or maybe they wanted us to know they could get that close. Jordan didn't come with us. Not right away. When we tried to wake him, he wouldn't move. Just stared up at the ceiling from the pull-out couch, eyes wide and glassy, like he was stuck somewhere else in his head. I shook him, hard, nothing. When I slapped him, he just whispered, "Don't leave me alone with him." I asked who. He didn't answer, just started rocking a little, saying, "He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back." Over and over until Mason grabbed me by the arm and said we needed to go. We drove. Didn't matter where. We got as far from the woods as we could. Took the 101 down past Aberdeen. Stopped at a 24-hour diner full of truckers and old people. The kind of place where nothing ever really happens. I remember sitting in that vinyl booth, the sticky menu open in front of me, not reading it, just watching the waitress refill coffees and thinking, she has no idea what's out there, what's waiting in the trees. None of us ate. Mason got a black coffee and didn't touch it. Kayla sat next to me, still barefoot, hair matted, staring blankly at a fly buzzing against the window. She looked hollow, like part of her was still in the forest, waiting to be found. I tried to make a plan. We'd call the cops. We'd tell them everything. The picture, the doll, the slashed tents, the fucking footprints. I didn't care if we sounded crazy anymore. But Mason was shaking his head. "They won't find him," he said. "He's not some tweaker or backwards meth head. He knows what he's doing." I asked how he could be so sure. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out his phone and opened his photos, scrolled back to something he hadn't shown us. It was a video. He'd taken it while they were back at the site, after they found the tents slashed up. He said he heard whistling. And yeah, in the video, you can hear it too. Low, slow, two-note whistle, like someone trying to sound casual, almost like a song. But it's off, too slow, too deliberate. Then the camera shifts. He's turning in place, shaky, heavy breathing. And for a second, a single fucking frame, you can see something in the trees behind him. Someone, just standing there, long coat, face blurred by distance, not moving, not hiding, just watching. That broke me. I got up from the booth and threw up in the bathroom sink. Couldn't breathe, couldn't think, because I remembered something. The night we sat around the fire, I kept thinking about that narrow game trail behind our tents. It was dark back there, way too dark. I remember shining my headlamp toward it at one point and catching the glint of something, like metal, maybe a belt buckle or a fucking lens. He was watching us the whole time. Back at the booth, Kayla finally spoke, voice low, flat, like she wasn't really talking to us. I saw him, she said, that night, before we left. I asked her what she meant. She swallowed hard. I had to pee. Around 4 a.m. I didn't want to go outside, so I just opened the door a crack and went off the side of the porch. You guys were asleep. But when I stood up, I saw something across the road. She paused. Her fingers were shaking. There was a man just standing there, middle of the road, facing the house, not moving. Mason whispered, "Jesus." Kayla didn't blink. He waved. We didn't go back for Jordan, not then. He wasn't answering texts or calls. We figured he needed space, or time, or both. We got a motel 2 towns over. One of those budget places with flickering signs and carpets that smell like mildew. Didn't matter. We just needed walls. Mason double-locked the door and shoved a chair under the knob. Kayla finally fell asleep on the bed with the TV on, tuned to some cooking show. It was the first time I saw her face relax in nearly 2 days. I tried to sleep too. I really did. But around 3 a.m. I woke up to this scratching sound, like nails on the window screen. Not fast, not urgent, just testing it. A soft drag, like someone casually tracing the edge of the glass. I sat up, heart hammering, too scared to move the curtain. The scratching stopped. Silence. Then, clear as day, came that same goddamn whistle. 2 notes. Low. Off-key. Too slow. I froze. And then came a tap on the window. Not hard, not even loud. Just a gentle little knock, knock, knock. Like he was saying, "Hey, I know you're in there." I didn't move. Didn't breathe. After what felt like forever, I finally heard footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Moving away across the gravel outside. But when I checked in the morning, there were no prints, no marks, nothing, except the motel doormat had been flipped upside down, and right in the middle of it, wedged between the letters "Welcome," was a slice of hot dog, raw, bent into the shape of a smile. I'm going to be honest. Part of me still believed we were being paranoid. That maybe all of this, the lights, the Polaroid, the whistle, maybe it was just some fucked up prank, some twisted local pulling a Blair Witch for kicks. I wanted to believe that, because the alternative meant something worse, that he had chosen us, that we were part of a routine, that this was what he did. The raw hot dog smile on the doormat was the last straw for me. I started shaking when I saw it, like full body tremors, can't breathe, heart hammering in your throat kind of shaking, because that wasn't just a joke, that was personal. He knew we'd cooked hot dogs our first night. He'd been watching long before we saw the lantern, before the tent photo, before Kayla saw him standing in the road. He'd probably been watching us since we pulled off that dirt trail. Maybe earlier. Hell, maybe since Mason posted in that Reddit thread. We checked out of the motel in complete silence. No one talked. No one argued. It was just understood. We couldn't stay there. Not when we knew he could find us again. We got back in the car and drove. No idea where we were going, just away. That's when Mason got a text. It was from Jordan. "Can you come back? I don't feel safe here." No punctuation, just 7 words, not like him at all. Jordan texts like he's writing a tweet. Sarcastic, full sentences, dumb hashtags. This was different. Dry, robotic. I asked Mason if he thought Jordan even sent it. He didn't answer. Instead, he just stared out the window and muttered, "I don't think he ever left the woods." We argued for half an hour in a Walgreens parking lot. Kayla said we weren't going back for him, period. That if he wanted to leave, he'd have left. But something in Mason's face, that scared, guilt-ridden stare, made me cave. We had to check on him. If we left him and something happened, we'd never be able to live with ourselves. Kayla said nothing, just crossed her arms and refused to get out of the car when we pulled back into the Airbnb driveway. The cabin was quiet, too quiet. The front door was still locked, but the lights were on inside. We called out. No answer. I went in first. The couch was empty. The kitchen looked untouched. All the food was still in the bags. There was this weird smell though, faint but bitter, like vinegar and rust. Mason called out again, voice shaking. "Jordan?" Nothing. We found him upstairs, sort of. He was in the bathtub, fully clothed, sitting in cold, filthy water, head tilted to the side like a broken doll. His eyes were open, red-rimmed, staring at the ceiling like he hadn't blinked in hours. His phone was on the floor, screen cracked, buzzing endlessly with unread notifications. He didn't even look at us when we walked in, didn't flinch, didn't speak, just sat there, soaked, shivering. I crouched beside the tub and said his name gently, like I was trying to wake someone from a dream. He finally moved, turned his head just slightly, lips pale, eyes unfocused, and he whispered, "He was under the house." I swear to God I felt every single hair on my body stand up. Mason backed into the wall and said, "What? Who?" Jordan didn't answer, just kept whispering the same phrase over and over. He was under the house. He was under the house. He was under the house. Mason pulled me aside, told me we needed to leave now. Screw Jordan, screw our stuff, we couldn't stay a second longer. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave him like that. Whatever he'd seen, whatever happened while we were gone, it broke him. I looked out the bathroom window. That's when I noticed it. There were footprints in the dew on the grass, Not shoe prints, bare feet, leading from the tree line straight to the back porch. And then, back again. I grabbed Jordan's phone from the floor, needed to know if he'd really sent that message, needed to know what the hell had happened to him while we were gone. Battery was at 2%. I opened the messages. Ours was the only thread open, but there was a draft. A message he'd typed but never sent. Just 3 words. He talks now. We got Jordan into the car. He didn't speak again, just rocked slightly, eyes fixed on the dashboard, lips moving like he was praying or trying to remember a song. I sat in the back with him while Mason drove, and Kayla stared out the window like she couldn't stand looking at either of us. We were halfway down the mountain road when I noticed something in Jordan's hoodie pocket. Something sharp, poking out the top. I pulled it out. It was a knife. One of ours. From the camp. Wrapped in black electrical tape. The blade was rusted, bent, looked like it had been used to dig something or cut something. Kayla turned around, saw it in my hand and started screaming, said to get it away from her, that we had no idea what Jordan had done while we were gone, that we didn't know if he was even Jordan anymore. I was about to tell her to calm down when Jordan finally spoke again. No whisper this time, just a slow, flat voice, like he was repeating something he'd been told to say. He said it's okay now, he muttered. He said I can talk again, but only if I'm quiet. Mason slammed the brakes so hard we all jerked forward. Kayla opened the door and puked in the road. We didn't make it to the next town, because the road was blocked. Not by a fallen tree, not by a car, by a tent. One of ours. Propped open, empty, standing in the middle of the highway, and taped to the flap with that same black electrical tape was another Polaroid. This one was taken from behind a window, through glass, looking in. It was a photo of us, sitting at the diner. The front door was still locked, but the lights were on inside. We called out. No answer. I went in first. The couch was empty. The kitchen looked untouched. All the food was still in the bags. There was this weird smell though, faint but bitter, like vinegar and rust. Mason called out again, voice shaking. Jordan? Nothing. We found him upstairs, sort of. He was in the bathtub, fully clothed, sitting in cold, filthy water, head tilted to the side like a broken doll. His eyes were open, red-rimmed, staring at the ceiling like he hadn't blinked in hours. His phone was on the floor, screen cracked, buzzing endlessly with unread notifications. He didn't even look at us when we walked in, didn't flinch, didn't speak, just sat there, soaked, shivering. I crouched beside the tub and said his name, gently, like I was trying to wake someone from a dream. He finally moved, turned his head just slightly, lips pale, eyes unfocused, and he whispered, he was under the house. I swear to God I felt every single hair on my body stand up. Mason backed into the wall and said, What? Who? Jordan didn't answer, just kept whispering the same phrase over and over. He was under the house. He was under the house. He was under the house. Mason pulled me aside, told me we needed to leave now. Screw Jordan, screw our stuff. We couldn't stay a second longer. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave him like that. Whatever he'd seen, Whatever happened while we were gone, it broke him. I looked out the bathroom window. That's when I noticed it. There were footprints in the dew on the grass. Not shoe prints, bare feet, leading from the tree line straight to the back porch, and then back again. I grabbed Jordan's phone from the floor, needed to know if he'd really sent that message, needed to know what the hell had happened to him while we were gone. Battery was at 2%. I opened the messages. Ours was the only thread open, but there was a draft. A message he'd typed but never sent. Just 3 words. He talks now. We got Jordan into the car. He didn't speak again, just rocked slightly, eyes fixed on the dashboard, lips moving like he was praying or trying to remember a song. I sat in the back with him while Mason drove, and Kayla stared out the window like she couldn't stand looking at either of us. We were halfway down the mountain road when I noticed something in Jordan's hoodie pocket. Something sharp, poking out the top. I pulled it out. It was a knife. One of ours. From the camp. Wrapped in black electrical tape. The blade was rusted, bent. Looked like it had been used to dig something or cut something. Kayla turned around, saw it in my hand and started screaming, said to get it away from her, that we had no idea what Jordan had done while we were gone, that we didn't know if he was even Jordan anymore. I was about to tell her to calm down when Jordan finally spoke again. No whisper this time, just a slow, flat voice, like he was repeating something he'd been told to say. He said it's okay now, he muttered. He said I can talk again, but only if I'm quiet. Mason slammed the brakes so hard we all jerked forward. Kayla opened the door and puked in the road. We didn't make it to the next town, because the road was blocked. Not by a fallen tree, not by a car, by a tent. One of ours, propped open, empty, standing in the middle of the highway and taped to the flap, with that same black electrical tape, was another Polaroid. This one was taken from behind a window, through glass. Looking in, it was a photo of us, sitting at the diner. I think something broke in me when I saw that photo. The tent was bad enough, seeing it propped there in the road like a fucking exhibit. His trophy, like we were in his game now, doing exactly what he wanted. But that picture, that was different. That was proof. Proof that while we sat in that booth, sick to our stomachs, not eating, trying to convince ourselves we were overreacting, he was there, watching us. That goddamn photo. It was from inside the diner, through the glass behind our booth. You could see Mason holding his coffee, me looking at the waitress. Kayla turned to the side, slumped against the vinyl, and Jordan. Jesus. Jordan's head was down. He looked asleep. And I kept thinking, did he do something to him then? Did he drug him, touch him? Or had Jordan already seen him and just shut down? Because now Jordan was smiling. Not big, not full, just this small, strange twitch at the corners of his mouth. Like he was remembering a joke he couldn't tell us. Kayla started screaming, like screaming, backed against the car door, fists clenched, hyperventilating. I'd never seen her like that before. Her voice cracked like her lungs were breaking. Mason had to get out of the car. I think he was going to be sick. Me? I just sat there. staring at the photo taped to the tent flap. And then I noticed something else. There was a shape in the glass. Not one of us. A shadow. Not tall. Thin, shoulders hunched. Wearing something like a rain jacket. Head turned. Smiling. He was inside the diner. Mason ripped the tent out of the road and threw it into the ditch like it burned him. We didn't talk after that. Just drove. Fast. Reckless. He didn't stop when we passed the speed limit signs. Didn't care. I don't think any of us did. Kayla kept whispering, "We should have left him. We should have fucking left him." Over and over like a mantra. Jordan didn't blink. We got to a different town by evening. Didn't even check the name. It was one of those little off-the-highway logging towns, the kind with one motel, 2 gas stations, and a Dollar General, where half the shelves were empty. We took a room at the end of the building. Room 8. 2 double beds, dusty carpet, mold smell in the air. The bathroom door didn't shut all the way unless you lifted it with both hands. Kayla refused to stay in the same room as Jordan. She said she'd sleep in the car. We begged her not to, but she was done. Shaking, twitching, not blinking. She just grabbed Mason's hoodie and slammed the door behind her. Jordan sat on the bed, soaking wet from sweat. He smelled like the woods again. Not just dirt, but rot. I asked him what he meant earlier. When he said, "He talks now," I kept my voice soft, slow, like he was some cornered animal. Jordan didn't look at me, but he answered. "He doesn't like noise," he mumbled. "Who doesn't?" "The man with the photos," I swallowed. "What does he want?" Jordan smiled again, that sick, twitchy, not Jordan smile. He said it's not about wanting, it's about waiting. That didn't make sense. None of it did. But Jordan looked so calm, like a guy who'd accepted a prison sentence, like he was just waiting for his execution date. Around 2 a.m. I woke up, not because of a sound, because of the absence of sound. Jordan was gone. I sat up, heart racing, head pounding. Mason was asleep, or trying to be, curled up with a blanket over his face. I shook him awake, whispering Jordan's name. Then I noticed the bathroom door was cracked open. A light was flickering inside. Not the ceiling light. Something smaller. A flame. I pushed the door open. Jordan was standing in front of the mirror, holding a Polaroid in one hand and a lighter in the other. Just flicking it on, letting the flame touch the photo's edge. Not enough to burn it. Just testing. When he saw me, he didn't move. Just said flatly, "He said I could keep one." I asked, "Who said that?" Jordan smiled wider. He did. The one under the porch. The one with the teeth. My blood ran cold. Jordan. What was in the photo? He showed me. And I swear to God I almost passed out. It was a picture of me. Asleep. In the motel bed. Taken from the bathroom doorway. I grabbed it out of his hand and he didn't even fight me. Just stared into the mirror like he was waiting for someone to step through it. Mason came running when he heard me yell. He took one look at the photo and just said, "We have to go. Now." We tried to take Jordan with us. He wouldn't come. Said the man told him to stay, that he'd come back when the time was right. We didn't argue, didn't try to force it. We just left. left our friend there like a broken appliance. And I know that makes us monsters, but you weren't there. You didn't see his face. You didn't hear how calm he was. You didn't see how the motel window was already cracked open from the outside. The three of us, me, Mason and Kayla, slept in the car that night. Took turns staying awake, watching the tree line, the road, the sky. Nothing felt safe anymore. Nowhere felt far enough. When I woke up the next morning, Kayla was gone. Door wide open. No note. Her phone left in the seat. Dead battery. Only thing she left behind? A single Polaroid, taped to the dashboard. It showed the inside of the car, taken while we slept. I don't remember the exact moment it hit me, the full weight of what was happening. But it wasn't when we saw Kayla was gone. It was after, when I looked up from the Polaroid on the dash and realized Mason wasn't speaking, just staring at the photo. His mouth slightly open, jaw flexing like he was grinding his teeth. Hands clenched around the steering wheel, knuckles white. I called his name. Nothing. He just started the car. Didn't say where we were going. Didn't ask if I was okay. Didn't look me in the eye. Just started driving with that same 1,000-yard stare Jordan had. Like something was whispering to him from inside his own skull. I didn't push. I was afraid of what would happen if I did. We didn't look for Kayla. I wish I could lie and say we did, but no. Because there was no point. That Polaroid, the one on the dash, wasn't just taken from inside the car. It was taken from between the seats. Low angle. Almost like someone was crouching on the floor, in the back, with the camera pointed up. You could see all three of us. Me sleeping against the window, Mason slumped in the driver's seat, Kayla curled up in the back, and in the very bottom corner of the frame, barely visible, a sliver of someone's leg, barefoot, dirty, pressed against the inside of the car door. He was in the car with us. He was in the car. Mason drove all day, into the mountains, way past where the road should have ended. No signs, no signals, just tall pines and black sky, and that thin, winding ribbon of road unraveling ahead like a noose. I asked him again where we were going. He finally answered, quiet, flat, like someone reciting a bedtime story they were forced to memorize. He wants me to bring you back. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. What the fuck are you talking about? Mason's eyes never left the road. He said it was my turn to take the photo. I grabbed the wheel, hard, tried to jerk us into a ditch, or a tree, or anywhere else but forward. Mason elbowed me off, screaming, swerving back and forth. The tires screamed on gravel. The car spun. We slammed into a tree. The airbag hit me in the face like a freight train. My ears rang. Everything went dark for a few seconds. When I came to, Mason was gone. Door wide open. Headlights pointing into the woods. The only thing left behind was his phone. Still recording. The footage was rough, blurry. He must have turned it on by accident while climbing out of the car. But the audio? It was clear. You hear him breathing hard, running, maybe, crunching twigs, branches slapping against his coat. Then, that whistle. 2 notes. Low, wrong, closer now, and then a voice. Not Mason, not Jordan, not anyone I know, soft, calm, almost friendly. Found you, then screaming. The phone dropped. Video ends. I ran, didn't know where, just away. The way you do in nightmares where the world loops and bends and every direction is wrong. I ran until my legs gave out and I collapsed in a clearing, face in the dirt, body shaking. I stayed there until morning. When I opened my eyes, there was a Polaroid sitting on my chest. Fresh, still developing. It showed me face down in the leaves in that exact spot. It was taken while I was unconscious. That was 6 months ago. I haven't spoken to anyone since. I don't answer my phone. I don't post online. I don't sleep for more than an hour at a time. I live out of a storage unit behind an old warehouse in Oregon. It's not much, but it has one door, one lock, one exit, no windows, and I keep the lights on at all times, because every time the shadows creep in, I swear I hear it. That slow, breathy whistle. Sometimes I wake up and there's dirt on the floor, pine needles on my pillow. Sometimes I find Polaroids slipped under the door. Sometimes I see myself in them. I never saw Mason again. Never saw Kayla. Never saw Jordan. But every now and then, I think I hear them. In the background of the whistle. In the trees that grow too close to my unit's walls. In the static of the old radio I keep just for company. Sometimes I think I hear them laughing. Sometimes I think it's not them at all. He doesn't want to kill me. Not yet. He's waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect picture. And I think I'll know when it's time. When I wake up one day and find a camera by my bed. And a note taped to my chest. With 4 words written in neat block letters. Your turn to watch.